Hi everyone, right, today I'm going to walk you through the Rockschool Grade 3 piece, Overrated. This is a great fun pop-punk piece to play, well energetic, driving rhythms, octaves, power chords, and some nice juicy open string chords as well. So let's give this a go now and then I'll walk you through some of the specifics. Here we go.
Overrated. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, to start off with, in the intro section we've got some power chords with quite a driving syncopated accent pattern, and it's quite important to get these accents right to really make the track move along. So what we need to do is just try and count that out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you might notice as well on the second bar you've got what might look like a little bit of a scary chord, an E fifth over A. Very, very simple really, it's just an E power chord with an A as its lowest note. And it's a nice little trick that you can employ in your everyday playing as well. We've also got, at the very end of this section, an A add 9 and a B add 11, which again can sound a little bit scary. Very, very straightforward here. All we're doing is taking conventional E shape A and B power chords and simply playing them without the bar. Happily, the E and B notes that you get from the open strings harmonise very prettily with the A and B chords, giving you these nice extensions. Okay, in the B section we move into a melody played in octaves. Now octaves, if you're not familiar with them, can be a little bit tricky at first. Basically what you're doing in this instance is we're trying to play a note on the A string, in this case the F sharp here at the 9th fret, and then double this an octave higher here with the G flat, the F sharp, on the 11th fret G string. The tricky bit is you've got to not play the D string in between. So this needs a little bit of work with your thumb to try and make sure that you are actually getting all the notes that you need and none of the ones that you don't. Really critically, what we're trying to do here is the opposite what we normally try and do when you're playing a chord. When you're playing a chord, obviously you want every note to ring out. When we're playing an octave, not so much. You don't want that middle string to ring out. The trick, as with a lot of these things, really does lie in your thumb placement, so it's just trial and error. I would also advise as well, if you're not used to moving octaves around, try and mark out for yourself where you're going to move to. Because trying to read the two notes on the tab at once while you're moving the shape around can be rather confusing. If you've already kind of mapped out for yourself where your hands are going to go, you'll find it an awful lot easier. Okay, in section C we move on to a single note melody. Now, there's nothing too out of the ordinary here, nothing too tricky. Some stuff to look out for: pull-offs and hammer-ons. Try and make sure they're as clean as possible. And vibrato. Now, anyone who's seen any of my other walkthroughs will know what a bug I am on vibrato. Most players, if they're new to vibrato and haven't really thought about it, will go and bring that vibrato in very fast and immediate, very nervous sounding. No, it's not a good thing to do. A much nicer sound, a much more kind of slicker, professional, in control sound is to just let that note be straight for just a second before bringing in the vibrato gradually and intensifying it as the note dies away. The thing that you can go wrong if you try and bring the vibrato in immediately is that you'll already be bending the string as you come to pick it. So the first time that your listener hears that note, he'll hear it sharp, which again is something that can really spoil a performance. Moving on, you'll also start to see in this section that we have melody played against an open E string, but melody played on the B, where the E uses a drone. This is a really useful technique in sort of pop and rock and indie guitar playing. Now here I'd advise playing all downstrokes because that way you'll get the melody note first. And also you can see there as well, be very careful to arch the fingers over so that you're not muting the open E string. You can hear there the difference that it makes. In the D section, we've got quite a nice little use of partial chords here, the E and the B implying the full A-shaped chords, and we've also got these extensions coming up again, F sharp 7 and 11, which again it's the same idea, and it's an F sharp chord with the open E and B strings. Same thing with the A. Moving on to the guitar solo, what you're going to want to try here, a good thing to get yourself started, get yourself in the right mindset, is to try mapping out the E major scale along the B string, and try that with an E, open E drone. And use that as a start point to create your melodies. That will help you to keep something that is stylistically appropriate to this kind of track, and that's always very important when you're playing a Rockschool Grade piece. Okay, in section E, more octave fun. So the same applies there. You'll also notice as well that as we move on to bar 39, the octave shape changes slightly as we move on to the G and E strings. This is to do with the fact that we've got a major third interval between the G and B strings rather than the perfect fourth that is between all the others. So we need to tweak the octave shape a little bit to make that work. So here I'm playing an E note on the 9th fret G string and then doubling that one octave higher on the 12th fret top E, and that's the shape that you're going to need. So again, get used to moving the shape around, and also make sure that you can transition cleanly between this lower octave shape and this higher octave shape. But that's going to be an important part of making that part really come together. And then at the very end, we've got a repeat really of the D section. Slightly more intensified rhythms, again, can be worth tapping out some of these syncopations. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and you'll notice that there's a really strong push on these chord changes that come a little bit before the downbeat. 1 and 2 and that just helps the track to bounce along. And then we finish with a big resounding open E chord. So there we go then, nothing too tricky in there, lots of fun to play, so good luck with it and we'll see you soon.